TISA announces bonus interest to member savings. World Bank says economy to bounce back. And Papua LNG Resource owners don't want agreement signed.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. Resource owners of the Papua LNG project have called on the government to refrain from signing the Memorandum of Understanding with the Gulf Provincial Government. Former Gulf Governor Havila Kavo says proper consultations with landowners must be conducted before agreements are signed. The proposed signing of the MOU is scheduled to take place in Kerama tomorrow.
The Purari Development Association is the umbrella body representing various landowner groups from Baimuru district. They have been vocal on issues relating to the Papua LNG project, which lies in their area. In a media conference today, they called on the government to halt the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Gulf Provincial Government. They claimed their interest in the development of the project has been suppressed by the state and the developer.
So basically what has happened is landowners are subjected, and our interest for increased equity and all other benefits have been suppressed in favor of a developer under MOU conditions, which is not even recognized under any protocols of law.
Since the idea of the Papua LNG gas project was perceived to the signing of the agreement with the developer, there has been no consultation with the landowners. Former Gulf Governor Havila Kavo said there must be proper consultation with the landowners before any agreements are signed as required by the law.
And I would call on the Prime Minister, the Chairman of the NEC, Petroleum Minister, and all the economic sector ministers who are going to be sitting in the gas ministerial committee to refrain from fast-tracking this until all the views are engaged from all the affected stakeholders, all the landowners, all the Papa grounds. We would not entertain this because this has happened.
It is also required by law for landowners to be part of the development forum in order to reach development agreement. Baimuru Resource owner President Ali Valili said any proposed agreement outside the development forum must not be signed as it is a breach to the Oil and Gas Act.
We want our resources to be developed according to our will, and according to the will and in compliance with the set laws of this country.
The landowners are now calling on the government to refrain from signing the agreement with the Gulf Provincial Government. They also invited the Gulf Provincial Government to a roundtable meeting in order to solve all these problems.
Exactly what happened to Southern Islands has now happened to Gulf, Papua LNG. We are not going to lie down and take it. And my brothers in Southern Islands should not lie down and take it, change it. It's time to change now. Every mining provinces, every project provinces stand up and fight.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
This morning, a joint team comprising of public and environmental health officers from the National Capital District Commission removed expired and dented varieties of canned fish and sausages from store shelves at the 9 Mile Plaza shopping center. This operation is in response to a complaint on Facebook this morning that the shop was selling canned sausages with expiry dates deliberately scraped off to avoid detection. After a clean sweep, the team served the shop's operations manager with a certificate of food seizure and condemnation. They warned the shop not to sell such food items or face their shops being closed or their trading license cancelled. Senior Environmental Health Officer Silas Jonathan warned shop owners to be wary of laws prohibiting such practices, saying the shop they had visited and others will be closely monitored during their routine inspection to avoid the reoccurrence of the same practice. He urged the public to report immediately to the City Hall Health Division of any allegations on food safety or public environment issues on telephone number 323-3212 and 324-0637 or NCDC toll-free number 1-800-002. Moving on, classes at Hagara Primary School in the nation's capital have been disrupted in the first week of Term 2. Over 2,000 children were sent home due to a blocked sewage main nearby. Senior teacher Karen Rea said they want the NCD Education Division and other relevant authorities, including the Motu Koitabu Council, to address this problem.
Students at Hagara Primary School were excited to return to classes in Term 2, but the unpleasant environment was not welcoming. We followed senior teacher Karen Rea around the school to try and establish the source of the problem.
Because we had heavy rains in Term 1, and when we came back in Term 2, this is what we saw. The drainage has spread out to a lot of areas in the field, and we feel that it's not safe for the children, especially the little ones, because when they come out, they start running in the waters.
She said it all started when they spotted water running down from the toilet area, thinking it was from the taps.
The water is so bad, it's so smelly, and it's unhygienic for the children to be kept in the schools. So we had to send them home. We had no choice but to send the children home. We know that it wasn't correct to send children home as early as 9 o'clock, but we had to for their safety.
Not only is the foul smell unbearable, but the leakage is flowing into the classrooms and surrounding areas, including the assembly ground.
Our office knows about the problem here now, and we feel that the NCD Education Division should step in and look at this problem. We feel that it's very serious. We're talking about children here.
The school has sent the students home for an indefinite period, but are urging authorities to fix the problem as it is affecting their learning. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Paradise Private Hospital has partnered with Number One Super Limited under its Number One discount program, with the agreement to be reviewed each year. Under the program, Paradise Private Hospital now offers a 15% discount to more than 183,000 registered members of Number One Super. This agreement will increase the hospital's customer referrals to its services by directly targeting NSL's membership base. Hospital CEO Dr. Robin Sios explained that the hospital aims to increase its facilities to enable more patients to seek medical services in the country rather than travelling overseas. PPH is encouraging other organizations to come on board and be part of this vital service. You're watching National EMTV News. After these messages, the Teachers Savings and Loan Society announces 7% credit interest to member accounts. We'll have that story and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Whilst the effects of the 2018 Highlands earthquake have had an impact on Papua New Guinea's economic growth over the last 12 months, the World Bank predicts the country's economy to bounce back this year, largely due to developments in the resource sector. In its latest economic update for the East Asia Pacific region, the bank has forecast a real GDP growth of 5.1% in 2019 for PNG. However, the report also highlights the risk PNG may face from external shocks, including fluctuations in commodity prices and pressure on the exchange rate. According to the ADB PNG country economist, whilst there is a focus on the extractive resource sector, attention also has to be given to the renewable resource sectors of agriculture, fisheries and tourism to enable more opportunities for Papua New Guineans.
The report also focuses on the development of non-extractive sectors, and the economic update covered specific sectors which are agriculture, fisheries and tourism. These are potential sectors that may become drivers of growth for PNG, and we know that in the medium-term development strategy 3, these sectors are also highlighted as potential for growth. We also highlighted in the PNG economic outlook so that the risks are tilted to downside. And these are related to slowing global growth, the moderation of growth in China, and the trade tensions between the US and China. So the government should continue its efforts in adjusting the fiscal and monetary policies towards more fiscal and debt sustainability and the exchange rate flexibility.
Against the backdrop of a difficult economic environment, contributors to Teachers Savings and Loan Society will welcome the announcement of a bonus interest crediting rate of 7% to their savings. This interest payment represents an additional 19 million kina paid to members for the 2018 financial year. Teachers Savings and Loan Society today announced a bonus interest payment for its estimated 50,000 members, most of them employed within the nation's public education sector. Deputy Chairman Sem Nalong delivered the good news with this latest interest payment, bringing the total interest paid for 2018 to just over 26 million kina.
We are announcing our additional interest of 19.6 million to pay to our financial members for 2018 financial year. This represents 7% crediting rate on members' general saving account. The bonus interest, in addition to the interest paid to members' saving throughout the year, totaling 7.1 million. Bringing the total interest credit to our members' saving account to a record 26.7 million.
Over the course of 2018, significant changes have taken place for TISA, most notably its acquisition of the former Police and State Savings and Loan Society, PolSave, who have an estimated 10,000 members. Whilst PolSave members aren't eligible for this bonus interest crediting rate, they were given some good news through the last 12 months, with 460,000 kina paid as interest to its members.
And we've paid 0.46 million throughout the year since we took them on. But for this additional bonus that's been earned in 2018, so they won't qualify for this one, but definitely next year they will be paid the bonus interest.
Understandably, given the difficult economic situation in PNG, TISA recorded a lower net operating profit of 20.9 million kina compared to 35.8 million kina for the previous year. Much of this due to losses in its equity investments. However, during 2018, TISA's assets grew by 10% to 747.9 million kina, with total member savings increasing by a remarkable 29% to 371.1 million kina.
The listed equities are Bank South Pacific, and we hold about 4% of BSP, and we hold 16% of Credit Corp. BSP is doing extremely well for us. Credit Corp, unfortunately, hasn't been doing well. So that's where the write-down, we have to book some losses from the equity losses from Credit Corp. So that's where it came from.
The interest of 7% paid to members represent the maximum limit that is allowed under legislation for savings and loan societies. Remarkable achievements for a society that has seen its fair share of challenges over the years. According to TISA CEO Michael Koisen, with legislation changes now allowing for the society to accept membership from other industries, TISA is preparing itself to ensure that it stands ready to continue delivering positive results for its members, both in the private and public sector, with Mr. Koisen emphasizing their continued focus on member services. The Gomuzuha Incorporated Land Group of Eastern Highlands has come forward to appeal to their governor, Peter Numu, to recognize the appropriate registered ILG landowners. This is in response to an article published by one of the dailies regarding the governor telling the government to pay water supply landowners in Goroka. ILG Chairman Cooper Janis said anything to do with that land must go through the ILG.
The Gomuzuha ILG of Eastern Highlands Province has appealed to their governor, Peter Numu, to recognize and deal through registered ILGs. This follows an article published on the newspaper last week, Wednesday, regarding Governor Numu telling the government to pay water supply landowners.
The payment that was paid 100,000 by the provincial government to certain grouping of people from Komufa is not endorsed or vetted by the Gomuzuha Incorporated Land Group, which I am the chairman of, and I am speaking on behalf of my committee. That 100,000 that was disbursed or paid is not encouraged. It defeats the purpose of setting up incorporated land groups throughout the country.
The Gomuzuha ILG has been registered since April 2016, and their chairman clarified that they were not involved in the water stoppage in Goroka.
Our land is taking the catchment to the water causeway up to the treatment plant and the storage and distribution in Goroka. We cover almost 80% of the water supply project in Goroka. Therefore, it is important for everybody to understand, and then we can work in harmoniously so that we can be able to have water flowing.
He also mentioned that they were not objecting to Governor Numu's appeal of Water PNG moving in to manage the water supply in Goroka.
Honorable Governor Peter Numu, that the land once sold off, the state will take over and Water PNG will move in. We are not stopping, we are not objecting to that. Water is life. We see that water is life. Yes.
However, he stressed that any payment must be channeled to the proper land group. He also declared that their land is not for sale.
The water that is supplied to Goroka town and the surroundings is sourced from Komufa customary land, and it is dammed on our land, and then it is also treated and distributed from the customary land that I am the chairman of. Therefore, I strongly appeal to Honorable Peter Numu that any payment, financial benefits such that's coming from land or water resources must be channeled through the properly incorporated land group account, which is managed by the Gomuzuha Incorporated Land Group.
Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
21 participants, including a teacher and 2 youth advocates from the Sun Up One Time campaign, took part in Transparency International PNG's Youth Integrity Program in Port Moresby last week. The program conducted a 3-day Media Smart Youth workshop with students from secondary schools in Port Moresby and the Central Province. Workshop topics included, among others, interviewing techniques, how to write short and feature stories, and organizing a press conference. The workshop ended with a media conference attended by members of the media and TIPNG Executive Director Arian Kasman. The event was organized and set up by the participants using the knowledge they gained from the workshop. TIPNG recognizes the role that youth play in nation building and creating a better future for Papua New Guinea. Thus, it carried out activities to inform and empower youth through its Youth Integrity Program, or YIP. The Papua New Guinea Floriculture Association will have its flower show from Monday the 6th to the 12th of June at the Laguna Hotel in Port Moresby. The flower show will showcase different flowers from florists and their flower decorating skills. The show is expecting professional florists from all over PNG to come and show their talent.
The flower show is expected to have a wide variety of flowers and pot plants that will be put on sale as well as display, so the general public can have a good knowledge of flowers and get to know their individual names. Coinciding with Mother's Day, the organizers are expecting fathers to be there to buy beautifully handcrafted flowers from local Papua New Guinean mothers as well as fathers. Papua New Guinea Floriculture President Toa Willis says apart from displaying flowers, florists will be judged.
We have a criteria where there are 2 compulsory items that the participants will need to participate in. That's the putting up of the big, large flower arrangement in front of their stalls, plus the laying out of the inside of the stall, the landscaping of their stalls.
Ms. Willis says the organization has been involved in decorating offices, churches, graduations, weddings, and a lot of small events. She says this is one way the organization makes its money. Willis says as a floral organization, it does not limit to females alone, but to males who have love for flowers.
Floriculture is supposed to be male and female as well. Anybody who loves to get their hands on plants and flowers. It's not just specifically for females, but we encourage male to be also in the association.
Since the organization started 11 years ago, it has certified qualified florists all over PNG. These florists attended courses that were facilitated by facilitator and florist Mary Sound, who has been teaching men and women in Papua New Guinea on how to become successful florists. Margaret Tepi, a member of the organization, agreed with Miss Willie, saying in order to be a professional florist, you have to learn from the best, and she encouraged people to go to these trainings.
Floriculture Association, flowers, the industry itself is more to do with the art of flowers, and as you've asked about people out there who are interested to become florists or be involved with the arrangements of flowers or looking after plants and stuff, the most advisable thing would be to get yourself into training, because it's a growing industry, and our desire for the current members of the association is to have it come up with standard.
Tepi says as a local-run organization, it needs help and financial support, and encourage NGOs and the government to look into floricultural organizations like this.
We want the awareness to go out there to people so that they can support us in this industry, give us contracts, give us work, and make your day, beautify your events and your office spaces, your homes, whatever it is. We are readily available, and we've come a long way, I will say. There's a lot more we can do. There's a lot more we still need to do, but give us the opportunity and help us to grow.
This event will be open to the general public. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Here with Wednesday's news, we go for another break. When we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas, including security heightened in Turkey for Anzac commemorations and the latest on the Sri Lankan bombings. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, hundreds are gathering in Gallipoli tonight, preparing to mark Anzac Day. 104 years ago, thousands of young men stormed the Gallipoli Peninsula. It was the start of 8 months of brutal fighting, in which nearly 3,000 Kiwis lost their lives. This year, about 1,500 Kiwis and Aussies have made the pilgrimage, but because of heightened security fears, no Turkish locals will be allowed to attend the commemorations.
These are Turkish trenches that were here on the day of the landing.
For the first time in a century, you can see exactly where Turkish forces first defended their land against the incoming Anzacs.
Part of a program by the Turkish authorities of trying to open up the battlefield.
As he shows us around where the Anzacs endured 8 long months.
That area there, that is the main part of Anzac. You can see how small it is.
Down the hill, inside a ring of security, the dawn service is rehearsed. It's personal for drummer James Fuller. His relative died here.
I do a lot of commemorations in New Zealand, but actually being in the area where it all happened, it gives it a lot more context.
The Antipodean Defence Forces preparing for the biggest pilgrimage of Kiwis and Australians since the centenary in 2015. The pilgrims not put off by threatening comments by the Turkish president in the wake of the Christchurch terrorist attacks.
There was an increase in registrations and less cancellations than normal.
I've felt so safe being here. A lot of Turkish people that I've met have passed on their condolences for what happened in Christchurch.
But the locals aren't allowed in.
Turkish authorities have banned Turkish nationals from attending this dawn service. Not even the tour bus operators or the drivers driving the Kiwi and Australians to Gallipoli are allowed to come, even though they could last year. And this is due to security reasons.
Today, the Defence Force confirmed for the first time the real number of Kiwis who served during the Gallipoli campaign. 16,500, nearly doubling the documented deployment.
There's people we never knew came on to the peninsula that we've been able to find who actually served here.
More than 100 years on, the Anzac story is still evolving.
New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says she hasn't seen a shred of evidence to support a claim from a Sri Lankan cabinet minister that the Easter Sunday massacres were carried out in retaliation for the Christchurch mosque attacks. Though there's a question tonight, can an attack so deadly and so coordinated be organised in just a matter of weeks?
Two deadly massacres, half a world apart. But could the church and hotel bombings in Sri Lanka be vengeance for the mosque shootings here?
We have information to say that this attack was carried out by an Islamic extremist group in retaliation for the Christchurch mosque massacre in New Zealand.
Islamic State would later claim responsibility for the more than 300 deaths in Sri Lanka. It shared this image of 8 men purported to be behind the attacks. The claim of a link to Christchurch is being met here with scepticism.
We haven't received anything officially, nor have we received any intelligence reports that corroborate what has been said in Sri Lanka.
Our government received no warning the claim was coming, and while it's made the Prime Minister ask fresh questions, there's a firm retort. There's nothing to back it up.
As I say, we have nothing to, at this stage, corroborate what is being said. Again, as I say, I've received nothing to date.
The fact that they were coordinated, the fact that they were simultaneous, all the logistical support that went into perpetrating these attacks, they couldn't have done it in the time frame from March 15th to last Sunday.
And he says the claim is a deflection from a dysfunctional government.
And quite frankly, given the divisions within that government, on top of the incompetence or negligence that was displayed in these events, you have a situation where there are likely to be more.
But the country's defence chiefs are on their way out after this police report went without action. It was reportedly based on a tip-off from India and came more than a week before the attack. There's now finger-pointing over why it wasn't shared more widely. Sri Lanka's president wants the senior staff involved gone within 24 hours.
The security officials who got the intelligence report from a foreign nation did not share it with me. Appropriate actions would have been taken. I've decided to take stern action against these officials.
But the changes in staff can't change what's happening now. Mass burials amid massive grief. There are hundreds of people to bury. And it's grief that's still being felt here. People so far away still coming together to find what comfort they can.
We'll go for another break. When we come back is Trukai Sports. Hunters 2019 sporting wear out today, and Fidele Sukana with a review and preview of the SP Hunters game. Stay tuned for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Jacks of PNG launched their 2019 SP PNG Hunters supporters gear today at their retail outlet in Port Moresby. This is the third year Jacks has been in partnership with the PNG RFL.
Jacks of PNG launched their 2019 SP Hunters supporters gear in Mount Hagen last week. Port Moresby is the second city to have the SP Hunters range launched. The supporters range has been made for people of all ages, starting from children's wear to adults.
You can see there's a wide range of product which is for male, female and kids item, and this is basically more of a fashion line product.
Jacks of PNG have provided a product line that has been affordable for everyone to purchase. This is the third year Jacks has partnered with PNG RFL. Sales of shirts and other merchandise were quite successful last year, with royalties paid to the PNG RFL.
More is we want to also support like PNG RFL. That's our main objective. It's not only we want to make money in this country, we also want to support sports, which we have selected rugby as one of the major games in this country. We are paying royalties to PNG RFL, which is a great support to PNG RFL, and otherwise our sales are good in this product.
Jacks is opening retail branches throughout the country and have retail partners in different provinces who will be selling SP Hunters merchandises.
We have retail partners in Leh, SVS Leh and Kenny Collection. They are our retail partners who will be selling, they have license to sell PNG Hunters product under Jacks banner.
New designs, styles and colors have been embedded in this year's shirts. One of PNG RFL's requirements with Jacks of PNG is for the merchandise to be made available for people living in other provinces, and according to PNG RFL, Jacks has delivered.
So that was something that we wanted to make sure from the get-go that was possible, and they've delivered on that. In terms of long-term partnership, we have their partnership for another, I think, 2 or 3 years. And again, it's just based on delivery, and so far they've done a great job and provided a great product for our local Papua New Guineans to purchase.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The 2018-10 loss to the Ipswich Jets has SP PNG Hunters coach Michael Marum claiming that it was the worst performance at home by the team. The coach is not happy with the half-hearted performance by the team and is running out of options.
It was a sloppy performance on Saturday, with the SPPNG Hunters' worst performance at home on record. The team managed to let the Ipswich Jets run free, breaking and avoiding tackles. The SPPNG Hunters' careless efforts saw them miss 62 tackles and make 17 errors.
There's a lot of those boys. They play one good half of football or good 10 minutes, and then they still have errors. Last weekend we had 17 errors. We missed 62 tackles there, so that's just really high. We've never had those sort of errors and missed tackles in the past 5 years, 6 years now. So that's a really concerning figure for us. It's just really high.
It was a cluster of problems for the team as a disappointed crowd had to sit through a ton of missed tackles, dropped balls and questionable refereeing.
Momentum in that second half would have changed if those calls were right. That sort of head up boys, put the head down again going into that break. Every time we got just unnecessary penalties and really bad calls that could have gone our way.
But like all coaches, Michael Marum sees some glimmer of hope for the 2019 season, and he still has some faith in the players. But they need to start slowing down the opposition's quick play the balls, something that has kept the Hunters on the back foot.
We hope this time around we can probably do better. We worked hard on our numbers in tackles there, so slow the ruck down. That's what we need. By the time we make a tackle, the opposition already getting up to play the ball. So,
despite having been training under coach Michael Marum for the past 20 weeks, the team lacks the execution that is well talked about in training. Marum says there needs to be more action on the field rather than just at training and falling short during the game.
Let's talk more action. So, we're doing all the training, we're doing all the hard work here. So, all we want is you back it up with your work in the game day. Yeah.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
And the SPPNG Hunters will have their round 8 matches tomorrow in Brisbane. The coach has replaced Jerry Teme in the halfback position with Charlie Simon after the team's 28-10 loss to the Ipswich Jets at home. Captain Adexwera has also been omitted from the team, while one player is set to debut this weekend.
The SPPNG Hunters left today for Brisbane for their round 8 game tomorrow at Prizzy Park against the Burleigh Bears. They will be playing for the Kokoda Cup, currently held by the Bears. Brendan Gotuno will be graduating at the University of Papua New Guinea on Friday and will not travel with the team. Dilbert Isaac is also having a midweek exam and won't be available, while Captain Adex Wera is sidelined for missing training.
Adex Wera has been dropped. He missed one more session plus recovery. So that's just, being disciplined and just discipline against him. So yeah, and we brought in Jordan Ped and Daniel Tapol back in. Jerry Temme goes out of that 20, and we're going to promote Charlie from the bench up to start at halfback. So he's got a bit more experience. Hopefully by now they can form some good combination with us.
Michael Marum has brought in Jordan Pett, who is set to debut off the bench as Hunter number 80. The young forward will help fill the void left by experienced forwards currently injured.
Dilbert there, you got Ila injured, standing out. So we want to have at least 2-3 forwards in that bench.
There have been a few questionable calls by the referees over the past 7 rounds, and it has not gone down well with the coach, Michael Marum, but he has accepted the decisions.
I got disappointed about the refereeing, standard past 7 games already. We've been really heavily penalized. There's bad calls going our way all throughout round 1 till round 7, but that's just something we've already spoken about in camp.
The Bears forwards are the big concern for the Hunters this weekend, and the team have been working hard on numbering up and slowing down the play the ball.
Burley got bigger pack and they'll go forward again with the ball. We need to get up and meet them advantage line. So yeah, that's what we worked on at training yesterday, today. So
Fidelis Sukina, National, EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere. True Guy Sports will continue with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. Rugby union players in Lae will now have the choice of joining which rugby union competition they prefer with a new rugby union association recently formed. Their pre-season matches are scheduled for this weekend.
Lae City in the Morobe province will have a new rugby union competition after the existing rugby union competition under the Morobe Rugby Union has failed to provide an existing rugby union competition for players in the Morobe province.
Morobe Rugby Football Union is still currently existing, but there's no competition. It's 4 months into the year, so I've decided to register Lae Rugby Union.
The president of Lae Rugby Union Association is the former president of Morobe Rugby Union, Avea Hiarua, who was forced out of his position by another faction during the rugby union impasse in 2017.
So I've given the opportunity to run the association, but since 2017 our association wasn't running the way it was supposed to be.
But Hiarua maintains that the new competition is solely for the sport of rugby union to get back on track and get a competitive competition for players.
So association that we just formed is purely for rugby. It's not formed because of the situation that PNG Rugby is currently in. If I was thinking of doing that, I would have formed it in 2017 when they came and physically fought with me for a position. I would have walked away and formed it. I never did it.
Hiarua was in Port Moresby accompanying his team, the Papuan Compound Ravens, who will be taking part in the Lae Rugby Union competition under their team, the Lae Harlequins Club. They will be part of 5 teams confirmed for the competition.
Defence, Unitec Reds, Vikings, Pirates and Harlequins. So they have made a stand to move away from Morobe Rugby Union, come join Lae Rugby Union.
The association is registered to the Investment Promotion Authority and they await affiliation to Papua New Guinea Rugby Union.
Lae Rugby Association is already registered with IPA and we're now waiting to get it registered with PNG Rugby.
The competition is set to start this Saturday.
After the long weekend, the weekend coming up, Saturday we'll start the competition.
Fidelis Sukina, National, EMTV Sports.
Tournament Director of the Igapi Hula Netball Tournament, Lawrence Lahari, says the long Easter weekend games brought together talented young netball players within the province to compete. He says while many of these young talent attend schools in Kwikila, Rigo and Hula, it is a tournament like this that helps expose their talent, and many of them find it hard to get into city competitions.
We want to expose the young talent, the rural talent that's here. A lot of them can't make it down to Port Moresby to play in the competition, so we have to try and bring the competition here. None of the PNG representative players played, but a lot of talent was shown over the last couple of days. We've got a lot of girls that go to school at Kwikila who come from Hula, Makirupu, Kamali area who can't come down and play in the active Port Moresby comp, so this is one avenue for them to play in.
To some sport abroad, New Zealand's first ever UFC title belt has arrived home at the gym that helped launch Israel Adesanya to global stardom. He's back for some much needed rest before meeting Australian Robert Whittaker in a unification bout which is heating up by the day.
The champ is here, delivering on a promise he made to his city kickboxing teammates. Enjoying the spoils of a war that brought fans to their feet on an epic night in Atlanta.
All of us got really emotional because it was a significant moment in sporting history for New Zealand. You know, it was a significant moment in my life, that fight itself, that fifth round.
It was one of the best finishes ever seen, and it made him a genuine global superstar. Most fighters get swept up in this kind of fame and fortune, but the 29-year-old who grew up in Wanganui hasn't changed a bit.
This is not everything. This is not... It means nothing at the end of the day. Moments like what happened with me and Kelvin in that cage is what really matters. And then after that, you know, being a father, being a husband, being a good son to my parents.
His next bout, most likely in September in Sydney, will be the biggest combat sporting event in Australasia. Auckland-born Aussie Robert Whittaker is the undisputed middleweight champion, and the war of words has already begun.
Haven't seen you this fired up since Brunson.
I know, right?
What is it about Whittaker?
Just fake. I don't like fake. Right. I can smell fake.
What he also thinks is fake is Whittaker's trip to Auckland next month to promote educational programs.
What happens is your PR team finds out, okay, how do we get the Kiwis on our side as well? Right, let's draft out a plan. Da, da, da. I have my own PR team. You know why? Because I'm just me.
The one-man PR team has his own plans for a homecoming. Next month, he'll take this belt back to his birthplace in Nigeria.
And that ends Chukai Sports for this evening. We'll have the weather details for the next 24 hours when we return.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma, Alotau and Popandetta can all expect fine weather. To the Momasa region, mostly fine in Lae, fine weather as well in Wau, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy weather in Kimbe, Ashau, Otu in Buka and fine weather in Lorengau and Kavieng. To the Highlands region, mostly fine in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg can all expect cloudy weather over the next 24 hours. A look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point and Aroma Coast to Samurai Island, and waters of Finschhafen through VTS and Dampier Strait to Siasi Island, to Long Island to Medang, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands and waters of Samurai Island to Cape Bogle, Finschhafen, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. and waters of Medang to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and the northern PNG-Indonesian border, sea 0.5 to 1.5 meters. A look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots. Solomon Sea, seas slight with southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas slight with southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that has been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 24th of April. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.